Hey, Carl.
Curls. Look at these curls.
Love him. Do you love him?
My hair hasn't been this curly since I don't even know when. I don't even know if I knew how to take care of it when it would have been this curly. Today, like I slept with it in a loose ponytail and it like I just did this. This is awesome. Like this is how I got ready today.
Okay,
It's
that's great. That's what you wanted, low maintenance.
yeah. So
Why are you unhappy?
I don't know. It's just fluffier than I thought. I don't know.
I don't think it's fluffy enough. I think I like instinctively made my curls bigger to like be like, come
Yeah, yeah.
on, curl power.
Yeah. Two lions unite. Hi, welcome to Two Non-Doctors. I'm Liz Mealy,
I'm Maria Shahada.
and we're curl power. Look at
Yeah.
all these curls.
I mean, yeah, I'm probably gonna keep whatever we just spoke about with the curls, so you don't have to do it over again.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
that's fine. Yeah.
but yeah, I'm loving it. You're shaking it out. You're living it. You're owning it. Fucking lovely, beautiful curls.
Can I tell you my good news?
Yeah, I'd love to hear your good news.
I'm #1 on Amazon's new releases, but for one category and not the category that I was hoping for.
Okay. What
I was
category?
hoping to be #1 in cat, dog, animal humor.
Which is what
I'm
I
like
would have
number
expected. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like number 23. There is Liam the farting leprechaun was like #2 the last time I checked, and I was trying to beat him and I still have not beat him, so that's upsetting. But I'm #1 new releases under love, sex, marriage humor.
What?
Yeah,
How?
don't I mean, I talk about my ex-boyfriend in it, like I make boyfriend jokes, but like not as many cat jokes as I like the whole book is cat jokes. Like but I
I
was like,
guess
I
if you
don't know.
don't find love or have sex, you turn
Must
to
be because I
cats.
talk about like witches and crazy cat ladies and stereotypes of being a single woman with cats.
Yeah.
But it's just
Well,
like
that's
I was like,
amazing. So you're beating out like fucking, I was gonna say Dr. Ruth, like this was 1987.
like it's 1994 up here, and you're like, fuck Dr. Ruth. We have a new sex psychologist in town, and it's Liz Mealy.
That's amazing. And yeah, I really couldn't think of another sexpert. I was like, there's Dr. Drew, but that was super 90s. But like, I don't know. Um, and then there's
Oh,
Dr.
although
Mealy.
David Sedaris, I was right above a David Sedaris book, Carnival Snackery. I don't even know this book. Oh, it's Diaries. I'm curious if I want to read his diaries.
I have the audio of his diaries, and they're, I'd like to say, inspiring for a writer, just because you can be like, oh, like I like the way he writes down little moments that he has
Yeah,
with others and stuff like that. I do similar things, so I find it inspiring in that way. But I don't see how like it's good. It's not like good storytelling, but
yeah. Like I mean, to me, he inspired me as a comedian. So like the way he talked about his family, I think he's one of six, and like all that stuff made me feel when I was a teenager the same way I looked at somebody like Christopher Titus, who talked about his family dynamic and alcoholism and mental illness. It was like, oh, you can talk about these painful things. So I do like the way he like bite-sized snacks of interesting information. But I love David Sedaris, and I'm not even sure if I want to read his diaries.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I'm beating him, and that's all that matters. I'm sure for a day. Who knows how long? But yeah, my book's doing well. Thank you for everybody who bought my book. It's so exciting. I'm an author. That's gonna get real annoying real fast. I
Already
must have done that
has.
to my brother a lot. I was like, can you pick this up because I'm a published author? And he's like, you wrote about cats for like 200
There
pages.
was
Shut
an
up.
episode of Two Non-Doctors where I called you out on exactly this. I was like, your ego's gonna get so big so quickly. It's gonna take
Oh my
almost
God,
nothing.
I'm so close to my scandal. This is so exciting. I can't wait for somebody to try to cancel me. And I'd be like, you can't cancel someone that predicted the future.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Fine. I booked a thing. I booked
What'd you
a
book?
like it's a channel called Dave, and it's got all the cool kids.
I'm sorry. It's like an airline called Ryan Air. Like, I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah, but it's got all the cool kid comedians on their channel. You know what I mean? You know when you go to
Yeah.
Edinburgh and it's very clear who all the cool kid comedians are.
Yeah.
So I'm shooting a stand-up thing for them. It's only going to go on, on the
I'm
web.
hearing about this on air, not in personal Maria Liz time.
You were too busy talking about you being an author. No, I'm kidding. I literally found out like 4 hours ago and you were asleep for 3 of them. So
That's a valid point. I'm so
yeah.
excited. Is
Yeah.
it like one of those, like, you do 10 minutes of stand-up kind of thing?
Yeah. I do like 15 minutes and then they'll choose from there what they put on the internet. So
Ew.
yeah, it's good. It'll get me more exposed to an audience. More importantly, give me a another credit that, if I try to
Yeah.
sell a show, I'd be like, well,
Yeah.
you might have seen her on this and all that shit.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Congratulations. Look at
Thank
us.
you.
Killing it. Making shit
Yeah.
happen. Curls and all.
Hell yeah. Did any fans write to us?
Yeah, but we didn't do
No, we do announcements. I'm not used to driving. I just think I should take the wheel sometimes. I'm like, okay.
Let's get into our Googles.
Is this where we tell puns? This is where we tell puns. So 4
like,
cat puns right now. You're like, count me out.
You didn't even give me a chance to fail at it. You went right into being like, I'm better than you at cat puns.
Did you have one?
Perfect segue, Maria.
Great. Oh, I love it. Well done. Well done.
Thank you. Announcements. Thanks to all our patrons, everybody on Patreon that I don't know why I can't say it. Takes care of us, supports us, believes in us. We have monthly bonuses. We now have weekly bonuses. You can get stickers. You can control our Googles. You can be a Google guest. Tons of bonuses. And thanks to everybody that gives to us. And if you want to give to us, patreon.com/2nondoctors.
That's right. And you can follow us on the socials. If you want to see pretty pictures and videos, go to Instagram at 2nondrs. And everything else is at 2nondoctors, full word doctors, the number 2. If you have time and feel like being generous and want to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, it helps us out a lot. It helps us get seen, makes us feel good. And we really do. We read them all. We love hearing from you all. We love hearing your reviews. So give us a rate and review if you have a chance to do that.
Personal announcements. I'm adding dates. So in April, Philly and Minneapolis. Then in June 5th, I'll be headlining Brooklyn at the Bell House. And then I'm in Arlington, Virginia at Arlington Draft House in July. And then I'm slowly booking more stuff. So lizmealy.com and get some tickets. Things will sell out, not because I'm famous, because things are like 25% capacity.
I'm starting to book some things. I have a couple of previews that I should have had prepared and I don't. Oh, I have June 14th at 6:30 p.m. at Top Secret Comedy Club. It is the best club. And Tuesday, August 10th, 6:30 p.m. at Top Secret Comedy Club. And I'll be putting up more dates for shows on my website.
Yeah, visit our websites. We paid money for them. Okay.
Every fucking month. Tell me you like it.
Fan mail.
Okay, we have an email from Ben. He says, hey, Maria, Ben from Maine. We're about the same age. I will always be interested in your flatmate issues or whatever else that's supposed to be reserved for younger people. I'm living my dream life, and it's not like Modern Family. I'll be leaning on you for your mature take on being immature. Love you both. And I'm personally missing pasta the last couple of weeks. #free pasta. That's going to be a disappointing hashtag for a lot of hungry people out there.
They're like, what's happening in Italy?
Let's get some free pasta. Thanks, Ben. That's really sweet. It's good to know that, there are other people living like they're 18 for the rest of their lives. And that makes me happy. Thanks for...
I also, because in general, like, I think sometimes I get insecure, even on stage, about like my problems aren't other people's problems. But it's also like everybody at some point, unless I guess you're uber rich, has had these problems at some point in their life. And I've noticed, so I've been watching this sketch show, Baroness Von Sketch Show. They're Canadian. My friend Danny got me into them. Have you heard of them?
Their name is Baroness Von?
It's a sketch show called Baroness Von Sketch Show.
I thought, I was like, oh, did Baron Von go female?
No. All female sketch show based out of Canada. It's so funny. But in general, they have a lot of office humor. and I've like barely ever worked in an office, and I'm both like fascinated, and when I get the jokes I feel like really good, and I'm like, do I get these jokes because I've watched other office, you know, dramas or whatever? But the same way I love office drama. I love hearing about like stuff that I just don't experience, but I have to like kind of remind myself that like people don't need to completely relate to everything to enjoy what you're doing, especially when you're funny. Right, guys?
That's
When you're
absolutely
funny, it doesn't
right. Yeah. 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 Because if they don't know, they'll find out if they like you enough.
matter. Yeah.
I mean,
I
I've
would say
never
this.
been to, you know, I've never been a New York cop, but I watched Die Hard last night and fully enjoyed
Yeah,
it.
see? Great example, Maria.
Yeah.
There's some dog people buying my book, so you know, there's people out there willing to learn from people that have a different lifestyle than them. Dog
I'm gonna
people, cat
do
people.
I'm
Coming
gonna
in
do
soon.
a book mention counter. So
Oh,
we're
please! I'm gonna
throughout
mention
this
it in every
podcast, it's gonna
section.
go ding every time
Yeah,
you
yeah.
do.
So, as an author,
Yeah.
I really relate to
Ding.
No, I appreciated it. We appreciate you, Ben. We appreciate that you enjoy our shitty life and what we talk about.
Not for long, Miss Author. Ding. I guess that
Ding.
doesn't count.
Well, I didn't say it. You said it. Thanks, Ben. You want to get into
Thanks, Ben.
Googles?
Yeah.
We're very excited for our Google guest this week, Darren Levy. You have Funny Uber Rides as your YouTube channel, millions of views on all your videos. Mine didn't have a million views. Why does my video not have a million views?
That's just one metric. There's so many metrics. That's not a, yeah. No.
Is there any way to like repost it so I have millions of views? I think you did something wrong.
Is this why you brought him on, Liz?
Yeah. Where are my millions of views, Darren?
I'm so sorry, Darren. I had no idea this was false pretenses.
I don't know a response for that.
He tries to log out and he can't. He's like, what the hell? This is some kind of Zoom prison.
But you get into an Uber and then you just talk to these comics. So it's sort of like comedians in cars getting coffee, but in Ubers and without coffee or Jerry. Exactly the same otherwise. And in Australia.
Originally it wasn't comedians. It was more just like, you know, party goers on the weekend kind of thing.
Oh, fun. Oh, cool.
What was your Google?
It's sensitive. It's Nipples, because earlier on in the week I got a nipple piercing, the first piercing I've ever gotten, and I was
Wait, I'm sorry. You went from nothing to nipple piercing?
Yes.
Do you have
exactly right.
Do you have tattoos?
No, I like borderline.
Who hurt you?
Honestly, like it wasn't that bad. I think it looks kind of good though. Like I at this stage I'm gonna keep it. Do you want to see it, or is that?
I think that has to happen. Yeah.
Like it's pretty. You know, it's very.
Oh, okay. Very classic.
Well, that's because he just got it. He hasn't even had a chance to like bling it out or do something like 14-year-old boy about it. I see it.
And I definitely will, because you're not allowed it for the first, like, I think like 6 months it takes for it to like fully heal. But then,
does it hurt? Is it like, are you like bumping into stuff or like rolling on your chest when you sleep and you're like, ah?
No, I caught it on my freezer door the other day. that was just like a little bit of, but
I don't like this. I don't like this.
Up to 5% of the population has a third nipple, which you probably, I don't know, do you know anybody who has like extra
I did
nipples?
actually. Yeah. We killed him. I said I did. Like,
yeah. Can't be in society.
I actually have 4 nipples.
Can I just kick them off? I can't. This is too much
information.
What is
going on? Where are they?
What?
They're literally like just below my regular nipples.
Are you a cat?
I was a cow in my past life.
Are all four sensitive?
No.
So you can't. So they're not. Give me a second. So they're not sensitive. So if you pierce them, like you'd still feel it. It's just not like
what, skin?
An erogenous area.
No, so the piercing that I have, the lady told me it's a 16 gauge, which is like the smallest bar that you can get. So the other ones are too small to be pierced.
Oh, okay.
It's not a sensitive area, but it's it's got a.
I'll be honest, like nipple piercings, I don't know, I'm kind of like indifferent or whatever, but if I met a guy that had extra nipples and then also pierced them, I don't know how I would feel. I'm not going to throw you out of bed, but we're not going to get to sex anytime soon. I'm going to have so many questions.
And like, I think that's often part of foreplay, just like getting comfortable with somebody. So
yeah. What is this? Hey, is this cancerous? How long have you had this?
Did you know that guys can lactate?
Gross. You need to stop.
How did you find that out, buddy?
They have to produce an extra type of hormone. I think it's prolactate or something like that, but it's very possible.
It sounds like a guy made up term. Like if I can lactate, it's going to be called prolactate.
Yeah, and it's has electrolytes in it. It's pretty good for you. Yeah. Is there anything that you want to plug?
Season 3 of Funny Uber Rides is starting up again in April. So it's
Yay!
on pretty much every platform.
Go watch it. It's a great channel. It's how we became besties.
I'm gonna go hold my boobs.
Same.
We're both like, good luck to you. Thanks for coming on and sharing way too much about your body.
Honestly, anytime, really.
My Google is how many steps a day is actually healthy. And it's funny because like I've paid attention more to my Fitbit than I ever have. And it's always that 10K steps was like the thing that's like programmed. But I was just like, is that real? Like, what is, you know what I mean? And is that for everybody? So inactive, someone who is like considered inactive is less than 5,000 steps, which I was like, woo, like there's definitely days where I'm like, I did less than 1,000. I am almost a vegetable. Somewhat active to average is 7.5K to 10K, and then very active is 12.5K or higher. My goal has always been 16K. I don't know where I came up with that number. Maybe I saw what I was kind of averaging in my before life, but I have noticed when I hit 20K, I like feel good. Like I feel like I did stuff. Like I was walking all day. Like it's funny how like 16K, my little, thing on my watch goes off and makes me feel good about myself. But 20K is actually really where I have my own little party in my head and my body feels good. But basically, if you're trying to lose weight over 15K, but the CDC recommends 150 minutes of moderate exercise per week. And I don't know what that translates to, but basically you should get 10K just to be alive. But that's not.
I am not even getting 1/10 of that in lockdown. I mean, it's like
I might be considered a rock.
It's bad. It's like 800 to 1,000 steps a day. And like, it's bad.
Yeah, that's not good.
I don't know. I've been doing planks.
I'm doing other things where I don't move. I've noticed in general. You're like, I'm not moving. Do I get any points?
I'm so good at not moving. I wish that was an Olympic sport.
I've just noticed I feel so much better when I'm over, like I said, like 15 to 20K.
Anything over 15,000 steps and I'm tired later in the day. I'm just like, oh God. Because I'm not
used to it.
I know. Well, that's awesome. So wait, what do you average now?
In lockdown, like 7, like that. And that's like a decent day. Like I had some really bad days and weeks where it was under like 2, like truly not moving and not leaving the house. I would say with things being slightly better, or like the fact that I really do try to go to the grocery store or go to the post office or something, that if I do one thing a day, that's about 7K. And then on a good day where I go for a run or I have like a rooftop show or what have you, or if I go to the post office and the grocery store, I'll hit the like 14 to 16K. And then like today I had to go get a COVID test. It's like a half-hour walk and then a half-hour walk back. And then I think I'm going to have to go to the grocery store. Like I'll probably hit at least 15. Even when like our before times, like I would have a spot, and if I had the time, I would walk to my next spot, even if it took an hour, as opposed to take the subway.
Okay.
So I'm a walker.
Yeah, I know. I remember hanging out with you. So I Googled how do you decaf coffee, like decaffeinate coffee.
Oh.
It's a process I wasn't aware of. Do you know what I mean? Like it uses chemicals, like a fruit acid, and the other chemical is something that's also in like paint thinner and
What?
some other things. Yeah. And it's called, I can find it right now if I can stop babbling. What's it called? They found out on accident because like somebody left their coffee out in the sea, and then the coffee flavor stayed, but it wasn't decaffeinated anymore, which I don't know how they figured that out. They were like, why am I not jittery and not angry? Then they changed it. So there's methylene chloride and ethyl acetate. You soak the beans in that. Methylene chloride can be used as a paint stripper and a degreaser, as well as an agent to remove caffeine. Ethyl acetate is a natural fruit ether, usually made from acetic acid, the building block of vinegar. And it's also used to make nail polish remover.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So this is what's in your decaffeinated coffee. So the caffeine's drawn out by the solvent. And you can't do it once the coffee's ground, or the coffee will end up tasting like straw. So they have to do it when the coffee beans are still green, like before the roasting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then that's as far as I got before we started the podcast. So if I can just
Does that
see
mean
if
decaf coffee is like really bad for you?
That's what I'm wondering. Because of this process, which I had no idea, because like you always see things like boasting is naturally decaffeinated. And I didn't know if that meant like it just comes that way, or if it means we decaffeinated this naturally, like with, fruit acids and not vinegar.
I wonder if it's the same for like, because like I drink decaffeinated green tea, and I wonder if it's a similar process. Like it's all decaffeination, soaking
me to
it
find
in
out right
battery
now?
acid.
You want me to find out right now?
Yeah, let's find out right now. Also, my brother's staying with me, and he can't drink regular coffee. He gets too jittery and anxious. So he drinks decaf coffee. And so there was a day he didn't sleep well, and I was like, "Oh, do you want to get coffee with caffeine?" He's like, "No, decaf is fine enough." And I was like, "But there's no caffeine in it." He goes, "Well, technically there is. It's just not it. Like there's always some caffeine. It's just not as much as regular coffee." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that." Also, I'm pretty sure I'm allergic to coffee. Like bad things happen to my whole body when I drink a lot of it.
Mm.
And I had done research years ago when I went off it, and I was like, "Oh, can I just have decaf?" And they're like, "No, the thing you're allergic to is not." It's like not caffeine. Clearly, it's this other thing.
I saw one thing that said it used. Oh, I've already forgotten. Just read it. Okay. Naturally occurring caffeine in tea is removed by any 4 decaffeination processes. 2 use the chemical solvents ethyl acetate and methylene chloride, which is what they use to decaffeinate coffee. 1 uses carbon dioxide and 1 uses water. None of these result in tea that is totally caffeine-free. By law, a label that displays decaffeinated must have at least 97% of the caffeine removed. The decaffeination process using ethylene chloride was once considered to have carcinogenic properties and was banned in the United States. But according to the May 2004 Berkeley Wellness Letter, after further study, the FDA approved it for use. So that's boring.
Does not make me feel good with how America works.
Yeah, it's fine. Of all the things that give you cancer, this is the least, like, it's almost like a cancer stowaway on like the air is more likely to give you cancer, and this is just sort of like on the back of that.
But
like
the fact that we banned it and then it came back just tells me that somebody paid somebody. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't tell me like they're like, "Oh, we're wrong." It tells me that somebody did something. Like I just don't believe.
I'm gonna have to take some more time to research this, because I do think it also has lower antioxidants and benefits if you decaffeinate it, but there's too many articles at the moment.
Okay, we'll get back to it. We've had unresolved or unfinished Googles before. I have already learned so much about how scary decaf coffee is.
Yeah, I know. It almost makes me not want to drink it.
Who would have thought regular coffee is better for you? Let's get personal.
Yeah.
I think you might like this. Yeah, okay. I think you might like this one. Yeah. What unnecessary things do you spend money on but can't stop?
Books.
You know what's so funny? I thought of books first, and then I was like, but it's not unnecessary. But it was my first thought.
It is when you buy them at the level I'm buying them. I
and you're not
can't
reading.
stop myself from buying books. I mean, there's only so much reading you could get done. Like I've made it a point to read 20 pages a day. I started at 10, I upped it to 20 and then I stopped. So I think I need to take it back down to 10. But like, and I'm starting to slowly get through books, but like I have a pile next to me just to show you. Save a Cat Writes a Novel, How to Do the Work, Veg Patch for when I grow a garden.
Okay, you're right. Your
No,
answer is 100% right.
This is just what was around the desk. David Niven's memoir. Turn life into fiction, write your story. Goal setting for writers. Creative visualization. Story maps, TV drama. Making a good script, great. And there's the one in my backpack too. And then playwriting.
My favorite is the stack that comes across the screen. And I know you've read 3 pages of maybe each.
Yeah. So it's really, it's bad. Like it was bad when I walked into bookstores. I love a bookstore. I love going in.
Yeah.
I love like a Barnes and Noble. You smell the coffee. There's something about like ideas and freedom. Like I just can't help myself at bookstores. Fucking love it. Yeah. And then I just got into I don't know. When you're like, you start writing a script, then you have questions, and then you find books about it, and then and like some are recommended to me, some are from somebody who recommended on a podcast, etc. And this isn't even, I swear to God, it isn't even a quarter of it.
You know what book's missing from that pile?
Well, yours, but that's because it doesn't come out until ding April 29th.
It's true. I don't know why it's coming out so much later in the UK, but we could do this funness all over again.
Yeah.
It's funny. I did think of books when I thought of this question because I'm still in the middle of Power of Now. I had clearly read it before, but I started rereading it because of our podcast, and I stopped in the middle of that to read the male depression book, which I finished, and then read another book, a graphic novel that I finished. And I've tried not to have more than 2 because I'm the same way. I'm I'll just keep piling it, and I have tons of books on my shelves that I haven't read. By the way, I bought this book. I knew I had it, but I could not find it. I looked all over my room for 3 days, and I was like, I want to finish this book, but I cannot find it. So I bought it used. And as soon as I'm not even exaggerating, within like 2 minutes of buying it, I found it. And then I had to cancel it. And it said it canceled and it didn't charge it. And then I must have not canceled it fast enough because then it showed up. So now I have 2 copies of this book, and I'm angry. It's Robin. It's like about Robin Williams.
Okay.
A biography.
You could gift it to me. Birthday's coming up.
That's true. I'll send it to you. I like it, but I forgot how much memoirs are better than biographies. It's more like a preference. Like it's good. It's not like it's bad, but like aesthetically, I used to read a lot of biographies when I was younger because it was just about getting information. But now because of podcasts and the freedom of information has shown so many different styles and whatever that now like this biography is just, it feels so meh. Like, yeah, I could have told the story, but like I could have done the same research this guy did and did a way better job. And that's why I wrote a book. No, okay.
Ding.
Ding. Okay. So my frivolous things that I can't stop buying is beverages. I fully believe buying a cup of coffee or, for me, it's like a chai latte or a Thai iced tea or bubble tea is a complete waste of money. Like it's just, especially because I started making chai lattes at home because all it is like the pre-mix, some milk. I like it with ice, and it's like they charge you as much as a latte. They charge you like $4, but it's maybe not even 50 cents of product. Like, you know what I mean? So when I was doing that, I was better, but I've been buying a lot of, I'd like a Thai iced tea. Like I just find excuses to celebrate.
Well, you have had a lot to celebrate about, haven't you, Liz?
I guess, but I just know how. Like, can't make me. I say when I talk about my book, ding, ding. No, okay. I sometimes I get them as like because I've noticed because I'm probably gonna try to cut out sugar again soon. Cutting out food sugar isn't nearly as hard as beverage sugar. I love a soda. I love a latte. I love a bubble tea. I love sweet tea. Like I love sugary beverages. I'm drinking a plain green tea with no sugar right now, and it's fine. It's fine. But if you want to see the happiest version of me, it's $4 and there's sugar in it. I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's where I feel happiest.
Um,
But it's a fucking
yeah.
waste of money. And every time, like, and you know me, I'm like such a penny pincher and such a budgeter that like I'll, instead of taking the subway for 2.75, I'll walk 45 minutes, but then it's a $5 beverage and I don't even think twice about it. I'm like, happiness is 5 minutes of this.
No, I totally get it. And like bubble tea and Thai iced teas are so good. And I remember when you were in London, we went to Camden and you were looking at the street art and you had me hold your bubble tea, but then you look back and I was sipping your bubble tea and you were like then torn between the street art and your bubble tea. And you're like, stop drinking my bubble tea. But I knew that it was like a timer because you could spend all day with the street art. So I was like,
but I know anytime I hand you food, a beverage or whatever, I've literally just like, it's like when somebody finds $5 on the sidewalk and you're like, it could be somebody else's, but it's mine now. And as soon as it touches your hands, I'm like, I've just lost half of what I gave you. That's just something that's a contract I've made in this friendship.
I'm like a bank that charges all kinds of interest, or I don't know, I'm something.
But what I appreciate about our friendship, because we don't even ask at this point, like the food goes down and we both have forks on each other's plates or whatever. And I haven't.
Go ahead.
What I didn't realize until recently that's how I am in most of my friendships. Like Prakash, like I had dinner with him maybe like a month ago and he was already in my food. And I was like, oh, I forgot. Like that, missing my friends, that's what I realized I miss, is that like we're talking and eating and we're all in each other's plates. And that feels like it's going to be a while before that happens again.
That's when like I decided I was friends with Helen Hong. It was just like, I was like, do you want some of my food? She's like, yes. Do you want some of mine? I was like, yes. I was like, we're gonna be best friends.
Yeah.
You know, it just is the sharing thing is great. And I learned very quickly with the fork thing that Johnny doesn't go for that. So he's very much like if he has food, he wants it.
But have you noticed that like we'll be somewhere and as soon as I make sure the plate is closer to you, like I'm literally putting it down and I'm just like, well, I don't want fucking food on the table. Like I know how this is gonna end.
Oh, that's sweet.
And then my other overspending lately has been clothes, because I discovered ThredUp, which is that thrift. I think I told you about. It's like a thrift store app where it's people. Yeah. I've actually sent a bunch of stuff in and I've gotten rid of stuff because that was my thing. If I'm going to buy something, I need to get rid of some stuff. But I don't need. First, look at me. I'm wearing the same sweatshirt and leggings I wear every day. And even with stuff opening up, I have clothes. The one thing with ThredUp is like, these are nice clothes that I'm buying for anywhere from $10 to $20. Like it's literally an eighth of the price and it's pre-owned and it makes me feel better that I'm not buying.
Yeah, but I've spent hundreds at charity shops and thrift stores and like, it's still like, cause it's so cheap. You're like, I can't pass it up. And then you spent so much money. I have like so many shoes that I wear one pair of shoes. That's it. And like, but like, yeah, I'm the same way. Topic?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm kind of excited about this topic because my feelings on it have changed so much over the course of like, I would say the last 10 years, but the topic is the importance of crying. I'm a crier. I am. There's a patch. There's some artist I follow and it's just a patch and says, I cry a lot. And I've yet to buy it, but I kind of want it.
I feel like I cry in emotional spurts. It's like, I'll have like 2 or 3 days of the month where I'm like everything is sad, but then I don't really cry otherwise unless I'm crying about something.
I've changed. I mean, I used to, when I was really like emotionally repressed and like felt like I couldn't be myself or talk to anybody and there was like a lot of shame around crying, I feel like I did it more. And of course I didn't express my emotions and stuff. So like, I would say from like a kid to like my mid 20s, I felt like I cried every day. Like it really did feel like every day I cried. And now, and then, you know, depression and whatever. But like now, like you said, like it has to be like something happened or I'm going through something or just, you know, that time of the month. That's actually how I've started to know that I'm PMSy, is that I'll start crying and I'll be like, what is this about?
Yeah. I remember one time when I was PMSing and it was in my teens, so I wasn't super used to being like my period yet, but I was watching Beavis and Butthead and Beavis didn't get laid for some reason. Like he screwed it up. And I just started crying and I was like, he's never gonna have sex.
I am Beavis in this scenario.
But yeah, then you go, hold on.
Yeah.
I tend to get really worried about my friends and family. I know this isn't about PMSing, but like I start to like get really paranoid that something bad will happen. And then I'm like, oh, it's before my period. And that's when I have unjustified worries and shit like that.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I cry a lot while running, which is like a weird thing because what happens is I'll go for a run and it's like my mind kind of wanders and I start thinking about stuff. And sometimes it's work related, sometimes it's just like life in general. But then all of a sudden I'm just like, oh my God, what if my mom dies? My mom's gonna die. And then I'll be running in the park crying and I'm just like, God damn, the stupid brain of mine. I'm like, ugh. But like there's some people that it takes a lot for them to cry. And mine is just like a teeny tiny thought. And I'm like, ugh. And then people are like, what's wrong? And I'm like, someday people are gonna die. They're like, oh, are they sick? No, my mom is in like the best shape of her life. She'll probably outlive me.
I always cry thinking about people close to me dying. But like, you ever think about them crying about your own death and then start crying?
No.
Me either. No.
No, I've never in my
Don't know what that's about.
I have thought about how people, especially with this like postrating, again, I don't know if that's a word, but like someone dies and like, you know, we say something nice about them and stuff, which I think is actually really beautiful. But then I'm just like, yo, there's people that's not even saying something nice about the shit I'm doing alive. Like, you know what I mean? If you're not going to fucking say something nice about my special or my book, again,
ding, it has
ding.
To happen. It has to.
Yeah. Then what are you going to say when I die? Like, it's bullshit. I want accolades now. I want people to care now. But I do have moments where I'm like, I think about my legacy.
Yeah.
You know.
Of course you do.
But I don't get sad.
Well, so, okay. You and I have talked about how we cry on public transportation. We cry in the back of cars. Like, is that healthy? Do you think that's healthy to cry that much?
Well, first of all, I think because like the running, the being on subway, being in the back of the car, the same way you try to get a baby to fall asleep, you know what I mean? By like this movement, like there's something about your mind wandering that causes you to feel emotions. To me, it's just a trigger that I'm in work mode or I'm not letting myself feel that. That's why when I have a moment to myself, I'm on the subway, I don't have any work to do, that's when I start crying. Like, to me, it's less about where it is and more about the state of mind I'm in. I'm constantly in work mode. I'm constantly moving. And then when I sit down and I have a moment of peace, I find out that I'm upset and I had no idea because I never allowed myself to relax or feel.
Do you think that there's unproductive crying? Because I know like working through something and crying is healthy, but like I feel like when I was little, I would hurt myself, and then if I would start crying, and then if like I want to say my brother or my dad, but maybe my mom said like, you're fine, and I would be like, oh, okay, and then I would be fine. So it's just felt like the crying was just there for attention or something. Like,
it's weird because like, so I was doing some research and there's 3 types of tears.
Okay.
You know, I love my research.
Love this. Yeah.
Yeah. Reflex tears, continuous tears, and emotional tears. So reflex tears is like literally like clearing debris, smoke, dust. It's literally when you tear to like get shit out of your eye. Then continuous tears is to lubricate your eyes and protect from infection. It's 98% water. That's, again, makes sense. And then emotional tears contain stress hormones and other toxins. Crying flushes these out of your system. And there's like this belief that by crying that you're actually, it's like healing. Like it's not just this, like, and I can go
you're
into
actually
like the
physically healing yourself by getting rid of the stress hormones.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's funny, I was looking for this and I couldn't find it. I don't know when I heard this, but I heard maybe like 10 years ago that crying for 10 minutes is healing. But anything after 10 minutes, you're just kind of torturing yourself and you're having a pity party and it's not actually really helpful.
What if you're mourning?
Yeah, but you're not just, it's not like 10 minutes and then you're done, but like you cry for 10 minutes, you go about your day, then you might cry for 10 minutes. But it's like, if you're crying, just sitting crying for a full hour, you're just torturing yourself. And it's like it's you doing something to yourself, as opposed to, let's say something fell on my foot. It hurts so much that I start to cry. You cry and then it's over. But I think, mourning or even just being sad in general is like, it's a process and it's an ebb and flow. It's just this continuous, if you're just sitting there crying for hours, you have depression, or you're looking for somebody to save you. I don't know. But like, there is a too much crying. I mean, to the point where even this says like, you need to see a doctor at some point if it's too much. And that's actually how I either know I'm in I've gone into a depressive state, or if I really need to process my emotions. Like, I think like before I went through my breakup, I knew it was like I was going to have to end it. So there was a part of me that was like crying because I knew it was over and I was going to have to go through something painful. And then as I was in the breakup, I was sad. So I was crying. And then when I was kind of healing, I kind of noticed that I was like, oh, I have moments where I cry, as opposed to it's like a couple times a day, like a little fun ritual, because I was so emotional as a kid and such a very cryy person. I don't know how to say that. I'm more aware of when I cry now and what it means. Hence why I really do think if you're crying on public transportation, it's because you're so busy, you haven't allowed yourself to feel anything.
Mm. That's interesting. It's like when you're a new mom and you're trying to figure out your different babies, your baby's different cries. Like, this means they shat themselves. This means they're hungry. And you're just learning that whole thing for yourself as you get older.
I do though. It's really taking me a long time to understand. Like, I think we all know, like when you physically hurt something, you hit your funny bone, or you know what I mean? You get like a crazy cut and you're just like, and you're almost like ashamed, and you just like, a small tear comes down and you're like, what, are you serious? But I've had moments like, I now know like my PMS cry, like that one where you're like, what is this about? Like, comes out of nowhere. It's like for something that's stupid. Like, I dropped my phone and my case broke. My phone's fine. My case broke. And I was like, my case. And then I was like, oh, PMSy. Why am I crying over a $10 case? It even did its job. The phone is fine. But I'm more in touch with my emotions now. Like, I've also, like, how many times have you texted me and you're like, hey, do you have time to talk? And I'm like, I'm sad. And I'll probably start crying immediately. And you're like, okay, all right. Like, I can tell you now before I cry when I'm going to cry. And I remember when I was dating my ex that like we would be in a fight and I'm like, I'm going to cry now. And he's like, okay. Like, I was just like,
well, that's funny, because when Johnny and I fight and I feel like I can't articulate my side of things and I feel misunderstood and I feel frustrated, then I start crying, and then I feel bad because it seems manipulative, but it's not like I'm trying to be like, well, look how bad you've made me feel. You've made me start crying. It's just like, I'm at a loss.
I'll be honest. I think 70% of my crying is like frustration, and like I've cried over my computer. You know what I mean? Where I'm just like, you're supposed to be smarter than me. Like, why? Like, technology has probably made me cry more than people. Like, if I'm being perfectly honest. And even communicating with people, it's like, it's exactly what you said. It's just, I'm so frustrated and I don't know how to articulate myself, and I feel fucking nuts. And it's like my brain shuts down, and it's like, we're going to take a 10-minute I hate my life break.
Do you remember when I was trying to figure out, I was in Brooklyn, I was trying to figure out my visa, but the visa websites just make it impossible to figure out what you needed to do. You couldn't talk to somebody unless you paid like $10 a minute. And even then, you still didn't get somebody on the phone, and they couldn't help you with your particular thing. And this website was like hard on purpose. And I was just like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm just not gonna, you're like, all right, let's calm down.
Yeah.
Because you weren't a part of it. And in the whole process of me just being met at every attempt with, you've done something wrong, and it just didn't make any sense.
No, I swear to God, most of my crying is frustration crying, where I'm just like, I'm so fucking tired. And that's the other thing I know, just like a baby, when I'm exhausted, like when I was like touring constantly, or like just like couldn't sleep, I get so fucking emotional. Like, I'm crazy. My friend and his girlfriend just had a baby 6 months ago or whatever. And we were going for a walk, and he was just like, yeah, she just seems like on edge. And she like, I don't know, she's so emotional and da 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 da. And I'm like, dude, she's not sleeping. Like literally her body is a vessel to feed something else. And she now it's a form of torture to wake somebody up like every hour on the hour. And that's what this baby is doing. Of course she's going to be emotional. I was like, your only job is to make sure she sleeps more and help her keep your baby alive. But like, yeah, man, I'm like that when I like take 2 6 a.m. flights in a row and I'm like so emotional, but I cry a lot. Like, again, that's how I know I'm exhausted is I'm just like, I'm right there. Like the smallest thing happens and I'm like, oh, I'm fucking so tired right now.
So can we talk about like keeping like men basically have been raised. I don't know if I don't know if like this generation of men are being raised to not cry. Like I feel like women are having babies now and just like both parents are like, you're cool, you can cry. I don't know, but like
Yeah.
most men are not allowed to cry.
So this is what I read. American women cry 3.5 times each month. Seems extremely low, by the way. Especially like I was like, who are these Russian-born women that moved to America that's ruining the statistics?
Yeah, the ones who answer surveys apparently have their shit together.
Holy shit! I was like 3.5 times a month. That's a goal of mine. You just gave me I want it to be 3.5 times a month. Average American men is 1.9 times per month.
Oh,
so then it says, yeah, I was actually very proud of them. And then it varies per by country. So America actually is high. More Americans cry than other. And then the examples they gave is women in China is 1.4 times a month. Men in Bulgaria is 0.3. And I was like, wait, what? Like, but what I find interesting is I was raised in so first of all, nobody likes it. The person crying doesn't nobody's I'm not gonna say nobody, but most people, there's a lot of shame around it. So most people don't enjoy doing it, let alone hate doing it in public, hate other people seeing them cry.
Because it's like it's not because like look how emotionally low I am. It's like don't look at my face right now could not be uglier. When you cry, like you're puffy, your eyes are swollen, and everything is a mess.
Yeah, I remember I was like silently crying on the subway where we cry. And it was like during the day and this person looked up and they kind of were like, and I had my headphones in and they kind of basically were like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah. And they go, okay, if you're not. And I was like, thank you.
That's nice.
And it was like one of the nicest moments. Like they weren't like, I hate when people are like, let me save you. And I'm like, I don't need to be saved. I'm a child. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't know what this is about. And then I'm going to have to lie. I'm going to be like, my whole family died. Like, I can't be like, I had a bad day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I did that when I got broken up with in New York, and then the subway was on strike and I had to get to work. So I took a car, but the car was picking up taxis were picking up other people because the subway was on strike. And so my face was a fucking mess. And this one woman comes in and she must have been Southern. So she's just asked me questions. And I was like, my cat died, because I didn't want to say I got broken up with. It felt more pathetic. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. And I was like, I know. And then, and then a guy gets in and he just looked at me and just like went like, look straight ahead, like a true New Yorker. Absolutely like not going to ask.
This isn't my problem.
Yeah, not my problem. And then she was like, her cat died, and just offering the information.
Yeah. She's not pathetic. It's not about a boy. His name was Roger. Okay. I was raised that I wasn't allowed to like drink sugary beverages and watch TV and cry. And I feel like those are I just kind of put this all together.
Yeah.
I love TV. I love my sugary beverages. And I don't love crying, but like my dad was like, don't show your emotions, stop, like this kind of rigidness. And I think that suppression only makes it, and I'm, like I said, much better with therapy ever since. But I mean, I think there's this raising of like, you cannot cry and people eventually shut down, almost what we talked about in the male depression episode, where like eventually you just are completely disconnected to your emotions and it's severed, and it would take a lot of work for it to come back. And I think they do it differently in every country. I wonder if both genders today growing up, like how they're going to, because this is more like express your emotions, you're entitled to your emotions, let it out kind of culture than it was even in the 80s and 90s when we grew up. Some other facts, or I can just talk about how puffy I get when I cry. And
what about a mix of both?
My face just gets bigger and bigger. That is the best, because like FaceTime is more of a big thing now. and like I'll be sad and you'll be like, do you want to FaceTime? And I'm like, absolutely not. You've seen me at my worst, and I still don't want you to see my puffy red splotchy. I get very splotchy, snot everywhere. Like if I'm gonna cry, it's gonna be all the emotions coming out of my face at once.
I am the ugliest crier. And then you catch a glimpse of yourself and you're like, makes you cry more. You're like, oh my God.
There's no cover up that can fix this. Okay, so there's a bunch of benefits to crying. The first one I told you earlier was the detoxifies your body. The second is self-soothing. I think that's what everybody kind of knows. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the PNS, which helps your body. Right? I liked it. Yeah, I liked it. I do get it. I'm trying to fucking be serious right now.
Sorry.
It's all right, which helps your body kind of whatever, just process emotions, feel better. Then number 3, it dulls pain, like physical and emotional pain. It actually does help. Like it releases oxytocin and endogenous opioids. I didn't say that right. Otherwise known as endorphins. So these good chemicals can kind of help ease both physical and emotional pain. There's a weird kind of numb phase afterwards, and then there's a sense of calm and well-being. So it actually does, it has a purpose. Like it does help. Improves your mood, so it can lift your spirits. I guess when you cry, you take in quick breaths of cool air, and the breathing of this air can help regulate.
That's interesting, because in yoga, like we have like these like short breaths through your nose. It's just like, and I wonder if, because that's kind of similar to the crying breaths.
You're doing fake crying to trick your brain into feeling good. Yeah. So basically it helps regulate the temperature of like your brain, and it makes it like more pleasurable and stuff. And then number 5, rally support. Yeah, I will say this, like, especially in a friendship or a relationship, when I start crying, shit is serious. Like I remember with my ex, like all of a sudden he knew like, oh, this is, because I didn't want to cry and I would do everything I could. But as soon as I did, it's like, oh, come here. I'm sorry. This is.
My face gets all twitchy. I'm like, uh-oh.
Oh.
Your bottom lip is like, you know.
Helps you recover from grief. So like what you said with mourning, it's just clearly there's mourning isn't this like, it's I think over time and it's a process and what have you, but like it helps with that. And restore emotional balance. Sometimes you can cry when you're happy, you're scared, or you're stressed, and crying can like help. Just there's like an equilibrium. Like it kind of like, oh, I'm getting too happy, let's bring it down. Oh, I'm too stressed, let's like. I was like, okay, I've happy cried. I definitely stress cry. Like that is half my crying.
Oh yeah.
And then the last 2 are for babies. So it helps babies breathe. So the first time they cry after being born, it helps them adapt to like the outside world. That's why like the baby crying when it comes out is really important for their lungs and stuff.
It also shows that they're breathing, right?
Exactly. Like, yes. And then number 9 is helps babies sleep. So crying increases both the sleep length and reduces the number of times an infant wakes up during the night. So it has to kind of go with sleep training and stuff.
That is kind of interesting about crying. Like, do you feel like tired after crying? Because I've never like cried and then been like, all right, let's go play tennis. Like maybe it's emotional because you're in like a sadder emotional state, but like I feel like crying might actually wear you out.
I've had both. I've had actually like the cries where like I need to take a nap, like, especially when you're going to like the amount of times I've cried myself to sleep and I'm like, it was a pretty good rest. I'm not I feel this baby logic is pretty good. Like didn't wake up, really sound like it was better than melatonin. I definitely have had during the day and at night where it just knocks me out because it's just all my brain just like is like, we're done. But I've also had it where like, especially with stress crying, it just kind of is like, all right, like it almost like it's almost like a reboot. Like it just starts me over and then I'm ready to work. The amount of times I've talked to my friends and they're just like, I had a good cry. Like my sister told me the other day, she's like, I cried. I was like, are you okay? She's like, yeah, I just need to get it out. Just need to get that.
Yeah.
It's like a booger that's just like, you're just like, it's just there. And you're like, and then as soon as you're like, oh, I can focus again.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like when you're working all day or you're around people all day and you're like, as soon as I get home, I'm going to cry and it's going to be great.
Times I've rushed home to cry. Oh man. Like people probably think they're like, oh, our stomach. And I was like, no, my emotions. I can't do it in public right now. Especially like you're putting on sweatpants. You're like, I'm going to get under the covers and I'm going to cry. And it's going to be exactly what I needed.
Yeah.
Now we're going to get a sugary beverage, Liz, because you've earned it.
All right.
Yeah. I want to hear if like how crying kind of helps you, like if you've learned stuff about yourself, especially some of our male viewers, where like I think you're taught that crying is wrong and you can't do it and you're not allowed, and then as you've learned to kind of process your emotions, how you've realized it's been helpful. Maybe some of the myths you've learned about crying, like, or like what you've been taught about it. But I was taught that it was bad, and then I've learned that it's like, just fucking do it, and it helps you process your emotions and you can get on with your day. Like it really is just like, I just need to move on with my day. And if I just let myself cry, I'll feel so much better. So you can write to us at 2non-doctors. That's 2 non full word doctors at gmail.com. And we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.